Hey, Elgin here, my normal updates. And here's one I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how you need to, and this is going to be for real estate, your jobs, your careers, and specifically other investments that you do. There's a couple things that you really need to do, and I'll even give you some perfect examples from my own successes and shortcomings. Is A, you need to have a reason why you do something. Like if you're going to buy a house, you need to have a reason why you're doing it, understand why you're doing it, and then you also need to have an exit strategy. And more importantly than anything of having the start and the exit is whatever it is, stick to your principles. Stick to what your principles were in the beginning, because what will happen to you is emotion will get into your psyche and it will tell you to do something other than your principles. So you got to stick to your principles. So what do I mean by that? Alrighty, I'll give you an example. And this actually just happened to me, and I'm pretty good, or at least better than I used to be, is that if I'm going to make an investment, say whether it's in stocks, and some of you know I've also dabbling in some crypto investments, things like that. Here's the thing: is that number one, you have to know why you're buying it, and two, you have to know what your exit strategy is. Like there's certain things that you'll buy and they're for long term. So like for me, what was a long-term investment? Long-term investment or longer-term investment for me is Bitcoin. So if I'm buying Bitcoin, my strategy for Bitcoin is holding on to it, or hodling, as they say. Now, if I happen to be buying another type of a coin, to be honest with you, I'm not buying that coin to hold. I'm buying that coin to hopefully make a profit and to turn that profit into something else. Okay? You're buying your house. If you're buying your house to live in and you're raising your family in it, and you plan on probably staying there 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 years, that's a different investment than it is, let's say you're buying a rental home, or let's say you're buying a property to flip, or let's say you're buying a stock to sell. See, you have to stick to your principles. Here's two main principles that you need to do on any of these investments. Number one is try to establish where you want to be with that investment to know when it's time to sell. And when it's time to sell, sell. Don't worry about that you left money on the table. See, this is where the emotion and the psyche comes in. Don't worry so much that you left money on the table. Understand that you set a goal, you got into an investment, you made your profit. I learned a long time ago, and my dad was one of the first people to tell me this in a different manner, was that you never lose by taking a profit. He said it a little differently to me, but you never lose by taking a profit. So don't look back at, oh, I wish I had to let it go to this point or that point. You made a decision, you got in, you made a profit, move on. Don't let greed get in the factor. Here's one that's even way more important than that. You should have either in place, in your mind, whatever the case may be, a stop loss of some sort. Meaning that no matter what happens, no matter what it is, if you have an investment in particular and the investment hits a low, you automatically sell it and you don't think about it. Here's where your emotional psyche comes in. Okay? Now we can use different examples. For instance, one, a real estate might be a little bit different because you have an investment property, but let's suppose you bought it to rent it out for certain price ranges, and all of a sudden you can't rent it out for the price ranges that you were looking for cash flow, and now all of a sudden it doesn't fit. Well, if you don't have a realistic plan B, it may be time to sell it. Yeah, you might take a loss, but not as much of a loss as you're going to take if you keep holding on to it. Because here's what we do: we hold on to stuff because it's gone down. So now we say, okay, stocks, I'm going to buy more and dollar cost average and all that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that can't work out. But have you ever heard about throwing good money after bad? If you made in your mind an investment, and when you were making that investment, you decided, suppose you bought something at $50. And let's suppose that you said in your mind, if this thing gets below $40, I'm getting rid of it. That's as much pain as I can take. Why would you stay in it and watch it go to 35 and keep throwing money at it? Or keep throwing money at 25? If your strategy was I bought it at 50, and if it goes too low, then here I'm going to sell it. Because if that's what the case is, then that's what you do, right? Now, if you're buying it more long term, because I do have an investment. Now, you guys know I'm with EXP, and although my EXP stock from the company that's been gifted to me and my wife, and the EXP stock that we've been accumulating over the last few years from our transactions, that stock is, I mean, it's 4 or 5 times fold what it was. But I also took additional money myself and put it into the and I've been buying on my own. So some of the stuff that I bought recently on my own, that stuff is lower than it was before previously, and I quote unquote had a stop loss. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't follow my own advice. Now that's why I'm saying this to you. What you can do though, like in this particular case, this was a longer term hold for me, so now I'm gonna just hold on to it. I'm going to hold on to it, and you'll get mixed in with all the other stuff that we've been getting out of the EXP stock, right? But I'll tell you the other thing, though. I had Tesla, just throwing a couple of names out at you. And Tesla hit a certain point, and I sold it. Now, Tesla is, you can say, oh, it's a good long-term investment. I'll tell you what, Tesla's down $200 more a share than it was when I sold it. Hell, I can buy it back, right? But I actually locked in those profits. And it had been higher than it was when I sold it. You see what I'm saying? So preserve your capital, know why you're buying something when you start to buy it, and have an exit strategy on both the top and the bottom. If you're looking to make 20-25% on an investment and you make 20 or 25% on that investment, of course you can reassess it at that point. But there's nothing wrong with taking that 20 or 25% because that's what you were going to be happy with when you first started doing it. And if you really want to stay in the investing game, real estate, stocks, crypto, I don't really care what it is, art, whatever it is, you have to minimize your loss or losses, because you will have some, and preserve your capital. That being said, remember, no matter what you're going through in life, it's just a temporary condition because things do change. And it truly is a great life. God bless you. Talk to you soon.